please call the roll, certified quorum, and offer proof of notice.
Hold on, I'm trying to pick up Margie. There she is.
Margie.
Here she comes.
We said we could see you. Magic buttons here.
Paul.
Okay.
This is not speed.
Have a button on here. I'm so technically inclined.
I'm catching up to you, barely.
You're in major trouble. Not me.
We can share a head right here.
No. I got it back there. Okay, we have Matt Barber, Jim Carter, Steve Burke, Nathaniel Monks, Karen Gilmartin, Pat Kepke, and Margie Cassidy online for the full forum.
I apologize, that's just my stomach.
Oh, I hope you get it fixed.
Entertain a motion to approve prior meeting minutes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Well, it's construction time here, as you guys can tell. And got a couple of announcements, so I'll try to be as brief as possible. The Finance Committee has sent us a recommendation on the participation rule. They're recommending that we have 100% March resident participation throughout the entire year. Board is in agreement with this. We're just announcing this day period. So the next meeting in November, amending the current rule. Effect.
Steve, this is just for prime time, correct?
Yes. So the rule will remain intact otherwise.
No worries. I read the rule and I completely appreciate it. I just want clarification.
Okay, very good. So, we got an update on the construction project.
So I went to a different place and moving along.
See, they're putting up the guide today for the roll down doors. So for us, it's good news. We're pretty much on schedule as far as the construction project goes. Still hopeful for an early January. Many of you know the foundation solicited suggestions from the community regarding the naming of our new restaurant. We had 268 residents respond with suggestions for names. Most of these were one-offs. My personal favorite was March Madness. I love that. And I'm sure we'll be able to resurrect that during March. But the largest subset of suggestions was some variation of the word nest. We had Pelican's Nest, Nest of Pelican Marsh, Nest, etc. Concomitantly, the Crave Management Group, our operator, came to us and said that as part of their marketing package of the community, they were recommending that we call the place the Nest. So the confluence of these factors led us to approve Nest as the name of our new restaurant. Now I'm going to give you an update on the operations side of the food and beverage facility. And if there are any questions or comments about any of this, I'd like you to hold until the resident comment period later in the meeting. The foundation has signed a contract with Crave Management Group to manage Nest, our food and beverage facility. How we got here. The preliminary concept involved each home in Pelican Marsh paying $240 a year, which the residents would receive back in the form of food and beverage. This would have guaranteed $460,000 in sales revenue up front. This amount was then lowered to $180 per household per year, or $342,000. Ultimately, this commitment from the residents was eliminated from the plan. In March 2021, the foundation expected that our vendor would operate their business from our facility. The goal was for the vendor to make about a 17% profit on $900,000 of gross revenue, which was the target projected in our plan. The foundation would agree to subsidize any shortfall up to $64,000 annually. At that time, prospective vendors were receptive to that model. As COVID hammered the country, though, and especially as Delta arrived in July, the vendors determined this model was not economically viable for them. The foundation received vendor proposals that were not consistent with the economic model that we had proposed. From a large initial pool of candidates, 9 were selected for further review. Crave was initially the first choice among these, but declined as they were not ready to accept a new project at that time. The 9 candidates were reduced to 3 finalists. As the foundation engaged in negotiations with these companies, it became clear that we needed to recruit new candidates. None of these people were willing to do this job. According to the original deal, none of them were willing to do it for a reasonable amount of money to do. And most of them, in the course of negotiations, appeared to have a bit of a substandard, we consider substandard approach to this whole plan. Crave ultimately expanded their management team and submitted a proposal. Negotiations with Crave were productive. The management team was impressive. They came in with a plan with way more detail than the other candidates. As an example, their employee training program is meticulous in its attention to detail. At a time when service workers are hard to find, Crave gave us confidence they could train up a worker with little experience into an effective restaurant employee. The new business model has our operator managing our business from our facility. We're still looking at Crave making about a 17% profit on $900,000 in gross revenue. However, the foundation will pay this amount to Crave as a management fee. The foundation will collect all revenue and pay all expenses, including this management fee. This model gives the foundation access to all financial data, as is our business. This includes real-time point-of-sale data. This is the reality of the pre-COVID versus post-COVID world as it relates to a restaurant startup. An unpredictable and difficult labor market, unreliable supply chains, and inflation in wages and prices mean that none of the potential partners would accept any risk to manage our facility. The negotiation committee, populated with members from Finance Committee, the board, Food and Beverage Subcommittee, and the general manager, was unanimous in approving the contract with Crave. The committee found Crave to offer us the highest quality and best value of all the candidates, and is confident that Nest will be a successful amenity for the residents of Pelican Marsh. This is a unique opportunity in that the residents are funding the construction of our restaurant and its management, but have control over their investment performance. We're confident the community will embrace this new amenity and Nest will be a success. And now, we'll move on to the treasurer's report. Daniel?
Thanks, Steve. We'll put the treasurer's report on the screen.
Yep, hold on a second.
The foundation continues to be in solid financial state for the month of September. Our overall revenues and expenses are better than budget expectations. The exception is the fitness department, where we're still catching up from our impacted revenues due to low class participation in the beginning of the year due to COVID. Adjustments have been made to mitigate these losses. Collection of resale fees are very strong. Through September, we now have collected 160 resale fees, which is 60 more than we budgeted for the whole year. We budgeted 100, and we're at 160 already. Currently, we have the potential for an additional 10 resale fees. Currently, we have the 10 resale fees that are already pending, and there's still time left in the year. These strong resale numbers have enabled us to already meet our annual funding requirements for the reserves and the capital account. Both the reserve account and the capital account fully funded for the year, thanks to all these extra sales of homes. And there's enough money to pay for the construction completely all the way through to the end of it. The construction will be paid for with capital funds that are already sitting in the capital account. Paul, do I have a page for my friends to look at?
Unfortunately, I'm an issue with the share portion of the program, so the copy of this treasurer's report is available on the website and available in the office if you want to pick one up.
I apologize, friends. Technical difficulty. Normally, I would be seeing this with you, and we'd be looking at the chart. And you're not able to see it. I'm going to read it to you. It's on the Pelican Marsh website. If you have trouble finding that, please check. We'll get it to you. Our operating fund, which is the fund that our community operates out of, our goal with the operating fund every year is for your HOA fees to go into the fund and those fees to pay for our day-to-day operations and to be pretty close to the same. Our goal is for your HOA fees to cover the day-to-day cost of running the community. That fund started the year at $462,000. At the end of September, it's 1.2 million. Give or take a little change there. 1.2 million is in the operating fund as of September 30. Our capital fund is the fund where we put money from resale fees into that fund for improvements to Pelican Marsh Foundation. That started the year out at $544,351. And even though we are spending money out of that account for this construction already, we're even pre-ordering items because we're worried about the supply chain. And so we're ordering some things before we need it. Better that it sits waiting on us than we sit waiting on it. Even though that funds are going out for this construction at pretty rapid pace, we still have increased from 544,000. Now we have 836,591 on September 30th. Our replacement fund is the third account, and this is where we keep money aside for the normal life of items that we have purchased, and we know we're going to have to replace them sometime, everything from the roof to the paint to the parking lot. And there's a long list of those things, and we have fully funded that account for this year. It started the year out at $462,542, and we have spent as needed throughout the year, yet it has increased to $650,806. If you go to our website, that was page 2 I just went over. Now I'm going to go over page 3, which is the resale fees. We collected a total of 187 resale fees, but 27 of those were people who were already living in Pelican Marsh and they just moved somewhere else in Pelican Marsh, so we don't charge them that fee again. And so we refunded that with a net of 160. That comes to $715,500. Probably we'll have another 10 or 20 before the end of the year. We're way over budget. We have way over budget on our income. It's very nice. It's one of the only good things about the COVID problems is that it increased home sales. It made it hard to hire people. And as our president just told us, it made it hard to find vendors who felt like they could hire people. But it did increase our income. Our income has been very good this year. Everything is on track. We're in good. We're in the black and it looks good. That's my whole report. Thank you.
Excellent, Daniel. Okay, Paul, may we have the foundation manager's report, please?
Okay. So as you can definitely tell, that season now has started with a pickup of the activity around the community center. We encourage everyone to come in and check out the available exercise classes, fitness training, tennis and pickleball clinics, bocce leagues, and other fun activities we have going around the community center that we offer. This time of year also brings out a lot more residents who are outside now biking and walking or jogging throughout the community. So we ask you please make sure that you and your guests, when driving in the community, are following all the posted speed limit signs and making full stops at all the stop signs. Our goal this season is to keep everyone safe. As you can see, the construction of the food and beverage facility outdoors is really taking shape. Just please make sure you take extra care when entering and exiting the community center parking lot, watching out for the construction trucks, the equipment they're delivering, and temporary detour signs that may be up and posted around the parking lot. This past Sunday, we had 230 plus members attend our welcome back party. A big thank you obviously goes out to Lynn, who did an awesome job as usual, putting together a great event. The party was catered by Crave, who's going to be our operator for our new food and beverage facility. And we've received a lot of positive reviews on the food they served at the party, which is a great sign of things to come when we finally open up our food and beverage service operations in the beginning of 2022. With rainy season now over, it's now that time of year to inspect your home for any cleaning and or repairs that need to be done. Rainy season causes dirt and buildup of mildew on the roofs, driveways, walkways, and walls on your home. Please remember that the Pelican Marsh rules require that all homes are to be kept clean and maintained. So we ask that you be a good neighbor and help keep Pelican Marsh looking its best by doing your part in maintaining your home. Lastly, again, we always encourage residents and members to provide us with their most current email and other contact information. Members are also encouraged to register on the Pelican Marsh website so they can access important information and news. Please see Linda or Monique in the admin office to provide us with your most recent contact information so we can keep you updated and informed with everything that's happening in Pelican Marsh. That's my report. Are there any questions?
Thanks, Paul. Moving on to new business. 9.1, ratify approval of appointments to the Tennis Advisory Committee. We are grateful for the service of the folks who have recently left the committee, Maura Kleineck, Tatiana Monks, Gary Nordrock, all after serving us in good stead for many years have left. We have 3 new appointees, Rich Benson, Nancy Spiewak, and Tanya Dom. May I have a motion to approve the appointments to the Tennis Advisory Committee?
So approved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Not only there.
Yeah, from 2,000 miles away.
I know. 9.2, approval of resale fee increase. As you know from the last meeting, the board has determined that it is, along with the finance committee, that it is appropriate to approve an increase to the resale capital assessment from $4,500 to $6,000. May I have a motion to approve this increase?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And the motion carries. 9.3, revised policy of allocation for resale fees. What would you like to speak about this?
Okay, so in 2018, the board adopted a policy to transfer the 45% portion of resale fees that are collected that initially goes into operations and reallocate those fees or funds to the reserves and capital accounts. So in order we could build back up those funds for future needs. However, because we've had such a very good year in resales, Daniel mentioned currently 60 over budget, we have already collected enough money to meet our 2021 annual funding requirements for the reserves and also build up the capital account to pay for the construction of the food and beverage project. So we're proposing that the operational portion of the resale fee that is collected for the last quarter of this year in 2021 not be reallocated to the reserve and capital accounts and left in the operations. This money will then help offset the loss for the F&B startup costs that will be incurred for this year.
Okay.
So, do
I move that we keep the money that is allocated to the operating account by bylaw, that we just leave it there as Paul has proposed.
I think what we really have to say here is that we are going to unwind the change that was made, the last motion to reallocate that money. So we're going to unwind that change and go back to the original language of the 2011 bylaw, which stipulates that 45% of the resale capital assessment will be allocated to the operating fund. May I have a motion?
I so move.
May I have a second?
I'll take the second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
And motion carries. Now it's time for review of the proposed 2022 budget.
Okay, that'd be nice.
All right, so what we're doing here is because of some technical difficulties, we're going to try to share the budget with you from one of the office computers so that you guys can actually see it, because this is a lot to look at.
It will take a second to get that started, and that will give them time to get the jackhammer wound up. And so it should get shared about the time the jackhammer starts.
Can I ask a quick question? While
Go.
we're waiting? The resale fee, when does that go into?
November 1st.
Thank you, November 1st, unless a contract has already been signed
Right.
before November 1st, then it will be grandfathered in.
Anything dated at November 1st?
Right.
On. Thank you.
While we're waiting, are there any other questions you got from the field? We'll have to wait on, online. Go ahead.
When you're talking about what the shape the budget's in because of the resale fee this year, it's obvious it's not gonna be that good next year. Is that gonna be in the new budget we're gonna see?
We're going to see that, and the last motion that we just, the second to the last motion that we just made was to raise the resale fee from 4,500 to 6,000. So in future years, that will increase our income. But as Mr. Suter has accurately predicted, most likely, next year we'll probably have less sales than this year because we're starting off from a basis of almost zero in inventory. So 2022 will probably have less home sales, thus less number of resale fees paid, but it will be at a higher amount. And that should hopefully make up for that. And then you'll see this in the screen share.
It's up now.
Okay, we're good, Nate.
Thank you. Now, you guys will discover this as you get older, but the print gets smaller. as you
Linda,
get
can you
older.
increase the size, please?
And in this particular case, it's very small. And I feel very old.
There we go.
Much better, thank you.
Thank you. Oh, my God. Younger by the moment.
Big.
Okay.
Backwards,
I'm going to trust that the screen behind me, as well as people at home, are seeing the same thing I am, and you're going to see at the top of this, our 2021 budget, and then our proposed 2022 budget, and then the cost. Now, we're going over the operating budget, and this is, of course, the account I told you earlier on, that this is the account where we try to make about the same amount of money go in from your HOA fees as to go out for our costs. Now, naturally, many people, all of us, hate to see any bill ever go up any, but as you know, there is some inflation in the works right now. And as you also know, we have employees here, and over time, they get paid a little more as time goes by, especially if we're able to hire replacements. Right now, we have a couple positions we're unable to hire replacements for because no one will answer the ads. But there is a very tiny increase in our fees for next year proposed based on essentially three things. As you know, about half of your fee goes to pay for your cable and your internet. And every year by contract, our Comcast bill goes up 4%. So we know in advance it's going to go up 4% next year and the year after that. However, when we signed this contract with them, they gave us a large bonus rebate. And for the last few years, it has essentially equaled out to about $100,000 a year discounted off of our Comcast bill. And unfortunately, all good things must come to an end, and 2021 was the end. So we have two increases that are felt to our Comcast bill. One is the 4% rise, and the other is the sudden missing of that $100,000 rebate. So the rebate's gone, so that essentially makes our cost feel like it went up 10% for Comcast, and that will be the only year that ever happens because we'll never again be faced with having to give up a rebate. So that happened. There's a few expenses in our budget that have went up, a penny here, a dollar there. but the biggest one is insurance. If you watch the news, you can see that if you're an insurance company, Florida looks scary when buildings collapse and storms comes in. And so our insurance company literally just said, to heck with Naples, and they pulled out and left us with no insurance company. We had to go shopping for new insurance. All the competitors said we charge a much higher price. And in the last couple of years, I think our insurances went from $45,000 a year to $60,000 for next year. So that's a 33% rise just in insurance. So the meat of our slight increase, you'll see at the very right-hand side of the top, there are each month, it breaks down to about $142.92 for 2022. $90 of that is cable. And only 52 of that is for everything you see and enjoy here, only 52 a month. $142.92. So a very slight increase, and for the part that's the $52, most of that's from insurance. Okay, as we scroll down, we see that everybody's going to pay their HOA fee. Everybody always pays their HOA fee, so it'll all come in, and here's how much we expect to receive, and our expenses are going to be pretty close to that, maybe $165,000, hoping for a surplus from there. The COVID has affected our tennis lessons and fitness center, but the fitness center more than tennis because it's indoors. And so it's still, even to this day, affecting the income. And we know that in the winter, it will still be affecting us in 2022. So we are projecting a less income in that area. I suspect that 2023, everything goes back to normal. You see also a new thing here, food and beverage, something that's never been on our budget before. We project $900,000 of revenue for food and beverage. Now, I'm the treasurer. I always tell the truth 99% of the time, but the 1% of the time when I don't tell the truth, I'll tell you I'm not telling you the truth. And this one right here, I hope I'm not telling you the truth. The $900,000 revenue looks like a lot of money. If you think, well, that's a whole lot of sodas and burgers, it's not. I really believe that the revenue is going to be closer to 1.5 million. Some people think I'm crazy, but if you were to simply take the people who voted yes, I want the restaurant, ignore the no voters, and ignore half the community who did not vote. And Bob Giannotti gets full credit for this stat. I stole it from him and I've been using it for months. I actually looked it up the other day. I stole it from him on April 10th. Just the people who voted yes, I had to get out my calculator because I didn't believe it. If they come here one time a month for lunch, man and his wife, one time a month for lunch, one time a month for dinner, each time they spend 22 bucks. Don't get carried away. And nobody else ever comes, that's over 800,000. That's over 800,000, just the people who voted yes. 2 times a month. I'll come twice a month, you go. So I really believe that this 900 is very conservative. Now, the good thing about our budget is that we make some profit on this if the sales are good. If the sales are bad, we actually still have this overhead we got to take care of. So we want ourselves to be good. I'm asking the community to give it a fair shot and then give it another fair shot and then buy me a shot. I suspect that if we can get the revenue up there in the 1.5 and $2 million range, we're going to see a very nice budget time next year. And you guys you'll be trying to remember back before this started that I said this, and I'll be reminding you I did. This is going to be very good for our budget, and it's going to be very good for our community. It's going to be the only place in town you can go have a drink or a sandwich and walk in and see several of your friends. And that, in my mind, as an extrovert, that is the best thing about the place already, is that you guys will be sitting there waiting for me to show up. So that's our budget. It says 900,000. I hope you make me wrong on that. Now down here at the bottom, you see the cable and the internet. Nothing ever changes there. 4% a year, it's going to go up. Resale fee allocation. I've talked a lot about that. I like to talk about the good stuff. We sold a lot of houses. And I noticed every time somebody puts a house up at a reasonable price, it sells really quickly. And so I suspect there will still be some sales next year, even though people don't plan on selling. Life happens when you're making other plans. There will still be houses for sale next year. I think we're budgeting, is it 75? There it is, 75. And last year we budgeted 100. Probably going to hit 180 and 75 for next year. But you see that higher the higher $7,000 is going to $6,000 other than the 45 is going to help soften that blow. Look at the bottom there, 450,000. And that's the exact same amount we budgeted for 2021 for 100 sales, 450,000. So I think we're going to be fine there. That is the budget we just made for 2022. And for that, that is the nuts and bolts of the budget of why your HOA fee is going to go up a tiny bit. Those numbers right there. If you have any questions about that or would like a copy of, it'll be on the website, and I am always available to answer questions. I appreciate you guys. Thanks.
Thanks, Nathaniel. It looks like a business opportunity to me. T-shirts that say, give it a shot and then buy me a shot.
Hey, I got a quick question to the crowd, because we've got a nice crowd here today. Thank you so much for showing up, guys. How many of you had the opportunity to show up on Sunday night? Was it incredible?
Yes.
Welcome back, Marty.
Yeah, with a welcome back party, I apologize. To me, that was the best food, one of the best crowds we've ever had in a very, very long time. And I want to thank Lynn, Paul, the entire team for putting that together, because it was great. Seriously.
Well, Matt, I agree. It was wonderful. It was unexpectedly wonderful. And the sign that makes it come.
I wanted to point out that the food was provided by Crave, who is going to be providing us food over here when you buy me a shot. Mark?
Can I ask a question about the budget at this point?
Sure.
Hey, Mark, can you come up to the screen so people can see you online? Come up.
Yeah, you need to come up and identify
I don't
yourself.
like this question. My question is, why don't you
Praise what?
raise the assessment?
We're in line with other communities, Mark.
We-
Way under.
We did
6,000?
the question for those at home.
I'm not talking about resale.
Oh.
I'm talking about our individual homeowners assessments.
Good question. The question for those at home who can't hear, the question from the audience was, why not raise the HOA fee a little more to provide a greater cushion? And it's an excellent question. We did go over this at the Finance Committee, then we also went over it with the Executive Committee, and we pondered it over. There is a couple reasons why it probably won't be necessary. One is that we have fund balance, we call it. Sometimes we do not spend the money we budgeted. And so that money is still there that the board can vote to spend it on something else later if we came in under budget on something. For example, we said we're going to spend X on paint, and then turns out we don't need paint, we just cleaned it up. Well, we've still got the money to spend somewhere else. Well, we do have money in that balance, quite a bit of it, that we will be able to use. And then the other little parachute we have is that if resale fees are good, and if the reserve account is fully funded and the capital account is fully funded, then we do still have the option of not removing the money from operating fund into those other accounts if they're not needed. So the board does have some tools at its hands, and we didn't want to, because some people live on a budget that's tighter than others, we hate to raise HOA fees more than what feels necessary for the sake of those who are on a budget.
Yes.
Mr. Carbone.
We're a nonprofit,
We are a nonprofit.
and that's the way you're supposed to create a budget. Whatever your expenses are gonna be, is what you should allocate back to the residents. So you can't go out and say, hey, we need extra money without knowing what the money's for. So that's what we've done for 20-some odd years, guys.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
I just wanted to be more specific, because I'm a tiny bit of raise. What is it?
Oh, Okay, it was at the very top of our, I am sorry, at the very top page, very top of our page. Paul, do you have the ability to scroll back to the top?
Linda does.
Okay, there it is right there. It used to be 1,580, but now it's 1,715. So it has $142 a year.
No, no,
Is that right? 142 or 100?
It says per month.
that's per month for the
Okay,
new
it's
budget.
135.
Essentially, it was $38 more for the operations and $97 more for the cable.
So 97 a year extra for cable is the bulk of that.
Thank you. Are there any other questions regarding the budget? Okay.
Is it,
Yes,
is next year's cable already locked in
yes,
the following years?
yes,
Is it 4% or?
yes. It'll be 4% every year. They say up to 4%. That means 4%.
It's about a seven, I think we've got 7 years left.
We have 7 years left. in
Yeah,
that.
Yeah, on the
I think question is,
contract.
we have a 10-year contract, and I think we're moving into the 4th year. So
Yeah.
you're good for those 6 years.
2028 is when the contract expires.
Item 9.5, approval of the design review committee written report. May I have a motion to approve this report?
Then you can stop the share.
May I have a motion?
I approve.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And the motion carries.
If I may, I'd like to, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to just
Tony, can you-
inform all of you.
That way people online can see you. Thank you.
That there was going to be an increase. And I don't think our people in our community understood why. I think you did a fantastic job articulating the increase as to cable and why we have to do the increase. I just don't want it to be associated to the cafe because the commitment was there wasn't going to be an increase for the cafe. So we don't want that to happen. So people look bitter going into it. So you did a fabulous job explaining it. I just wish there were more people here to see it.
Thank you so much.
Tim Moran. Yeah, we had our meeting
Um,
Wednesday. I believe.
Thank
And
you
it
for
did
that.
come up.
This entire team of people that were involved in the build of the restaurant lounge were so incredible. And there's 3 of them here. There's Bob, there's Paul, there's Mark. All of them busted their ass to bring the best we could do.
You
And
didn't do so bad yourself. I always have meetings with you and your background in the restaurant business certainly helps. So you're being very humble, but I gotta tell you, I'm very impressed with the board. And as a homeowner and a director on my board, I thank all of you for your hard work.
oh, no worries. They doubled our salary.
I built a really nice relationship.
We double it each year in the budget.
And, I'm hoping to move forward. I think it's great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Any other expressions of unadulterated love? John?
Printing up a t-shirt that says, "Give it a shot, buy me a shot."
See, this is my, I think we're gonna have to, talk to me after the meeting, we'll form a company. It'll be great.
We can modify.
We will have an oversight committee to take care of that.
You can ask Johan to add that to his apparel.
May I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
I love it. Thank you, guys.